Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Tuesday, June 30th, 2020, a year that will certainly go down in history and not for good things. But the one good thing it's going to go down for, Andrew, is that it's the year that we cleaned up in DFS here at Coach Talk. So I am joined today to go over this KBO slate with my good friend Andrew Hansen. And I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and we're ready to get into this slate. So, Andrew, how's your day going so far?
Well, I'm glad it's a new day, and it's funny, it's raining here outside the window. It reminds me of last night. We had that surprise rain out, the Kia Hanwha game. It actually seems like it wasn't really a rain out. It was more of a postponed because of cloudiness. I mean, it was just unbelievable. What a surprise! Like 3 minutes after lock. Nobody had that. It was, guys were 60% owned. The pitcher was 60% owned. Tucker and Cha were like 16 to 18% owned. So that was quite a surprise. I'm glad that tonight's slate's looking better with weather. And we had some really good lineups last night that cashed because we had strong plays with the other hitters. Didn't take anything down because we loved that Kia pitcher. But yeah, excited about another opportunity tonight to break this down and make some money for our members here and our listeners in KBO.
And I'll tell you, one thing I can say, KBO has been fantastic. This is the first time we've had something rain out after lock. They are just really fantastic about posting it at least 30 minutes before if they're going to postpone it. And they don't horse around, man. If it's, like you said, a 60, 70% chance of rain, they just cancel it. They don't care. Yeah. So, the good thing and confidence you can have with us, giving out our KBO info is, we're one of the only ones that are all in there 30 minutes before lock, whether it be 4:30 in the morning or 2 in the morning or 5:30, depending on their start times. We're there, and we're always catching rainouts, late substitutions. So, again, yes, last night was an anomaly, just one of those odd things that I don't anticipate will happen again. So you can have a lot of confidence, when you get in there with us in Discord, set those lineups, and then let them make you some money. So very excited about today's slate. We can get up back on that pitcher that we got rained out on yesterday, so that's always a good thing. And but before we get started, real quickly, I want to thank our sponsors that are bringing this show forward, and that's MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag for all your sports wagering and casino action, and use that exclusive Coach Talk offer to the members by using the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, and with that you get a 50% sign-up bonus up to $1,000. And they throw in a $25 free play as well. And also TVG. TVG.com is where you want to connect there. And you can sign up at TVG.com using the promo code Coach Talk. Or even easier, you can just go to our website at dfscoachtalk.com and click on TVG. And that allows you immediately to get that exclusive offer of a risk-free $300 bet. And just love that. I mean, there's nowhere else you can get it. They set it up just for us at Coach Talk, and you literally can make your deposit, go in there, $300 on a horse. If he loses, they give it back to you. So you can't beat it. Give it a shot. It could give you a nice big bankroll as we inch closer and closer to the return of U.S. sports. We're gaining on it. We're going to click into July here in a couple of days, and then it's just a matter of counting down the days because we've got, as you know, baseball on the 24th and the NBA on the 30th. So we could not be more excited. And in the meantime, we want to help you build your bankroll in both KBO and PGA. You can catch us on these podcasts Monday through Saturday for KBO, and then on Wednesdays and Fridays for the PGA. So we have doubleheader podcasts on those 2 days. All right, KBO, we are going to get into it. Like you said, the weather looks good. There are very, very minimal chances of rain. I've looked at the radar. I think we're going to be fine. 3 of the games have 6%, 7% chance of rain. Not worried. So we are going to play this, and I feel confident with it that all 5 games will play. But again, big advantageous piece. And actually, sometimes it works to our advantage if there is a rain out, because we can make those pivots and get your lineup maximized where others are missing some of those plays. So let's start off with game number 1. It's the Hanwha Eagles at 12-36 against the Kia Tigers at 24-21. And mybookie.ag updated to the moment line is wow. What do you? I'm gonna have you guess. Quiz right off the bat, Andrew. Biggest number on the board. I think it's the second biggest number on the board. There's 2 monster crazy numbers. Kia, what do you think Kia is favored by?
I'll say minus 300.
344. And that's not even the biggest. So when we'll get to that one, we'll really have something to talk about. But yeah, they're minus 344. Even on the run line, they're minus 151. So that's pretty hefty. And over under in that game is 9.5. So we've got 1 8.5, 2 9.5, and 2 10.5. So a little bit of a spread there on looking at some of those lines. So very interesting. With that big of a favorite, it's quality starts and wins make a big difference on FanDuel and some of the sites. So obviously Kia is one of the teams you've got to consider. And is that a pitcher that you're going to roster tonight, sir?
Absolutely. This is the rainout game. Same matchup coming back. We broke it down yesterday, so in case you missed it, we'll hit the highlights here again. But Ki Young Im is the righty for Kia that we really like, and he kind of owes it to all of us, doesn't he? That quality start, win, give us about 7 strikeouts, just basically shut down Hanwha. They're a bad team. They're 12-36. He's been excellent. ERA under 3, good strikeouts, only 2 home runs all season in 43 and a third innings. So he's going to be one of my core pitchers. And then I do like these Kia bats, as we broke down yesterday.
Right.
There are some really great spots here for these lefties against Shi-Huan Zhang, who's given up 5 homers this year, ERA over 6, WHIP over 2. He walks a ton of guys, so hopefully the base paths will just be circulating with Tigers all night. Looks like they're moving Tucker up into the 2-hole. He's been in a big slump, 1 for his last 19. Yikes. So maybe that'll jumpstart him if they're putting him ahead of H. Cha.
Where are you seeing him in the 2-hole, just for my own curiosity?
Just on the sites I look at when I look at projected lineups.
Okay, because I've still got him projected in the 3 slot.
Okay.
I have it going Kim, Tucker, and then Cha.
Okay, well, either way.
Just so just to throw it out there.
Either way, in that sense, he's going to be batting in front of H. Cha. And so hopefully he'll get more pitches to hit. At the very least, he'll get walked, and maybe H. Cha will drive him in. Because, like I mentioned, Zhang, he walks guys a ton. And that's what he did with these guys the first time. Sunbin Kim walked twice, Cha walked, Jiwan Na walked, MU walked. Actually, check that. Jiwan Na didn't walk. He had 2 hits. So even the righties like Jiwan Na are in a good spot here at 3,800 on DraftKings. I do want to mention one value play here. Ju Huan Na, second baseman, 2,400 on DraftKings. Kind of under the radar. This season, he's 260 with 4 homers and 8 RBI. And just building out some lineups here tonight, I'm going to have him the player pool as hopefully a lower-owned guy that can allow us to get some of these expensive bats.
Interesting. As far as this game goes with you, I'm exactly the same as I was last night with Ki Young Im. I think he's in a fantastic spot here. He's pitching well, sub-3 ERA, 4 wins on the board, going against a very weak Hanwha team. I feel just as strongly about him tonight, if not stronger than I did last night, just in the fact that he got an extra day's rest in his rotation. So I'm fired up for him. One huge thing that changed for me, Andrew, you'll be surprised at this. I'm not stacking the Kia guys tonight. Now, last night I did, especially those guys in the middle of the lineup, because it just played out that way with the other pitchers and matchups and teams. But I found some other stacks that I can't get away from. And therefore, in this game, I'm probably not going to have any coverage whatsoever except for him, the pitcher from Kia. And Tucker, whether it's 2 or 3, wherever they bat him, I'm concerned about the 1 for 18 and at that price. And H. Chuz's not exactly a giveaway either. So, other than that, they're sandwiched between quite a few righties here. So I liked some of these guys last night. Barely, they made my lineups, but not with the builds tonight. But I do love the Kia pitcher with you.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight that price difference between Tucker and H. Cha and the fact that Cha's batting cleanup or behind Tucker one way or another. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world to go with him, save the money. But I am going to make sure I get a lot of exposure to these bats. Maybe not a full stack, but I know that Cha is going to be in a lot of my lineups.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, game 2, KT Wiz at the LG Twins. KTW is 21-27, and the sneaky LG Twins are 8 games over 500 now at 28-20. So if you've noticed, just as a quick mention here, LG Twins and Kiwoom Heroes are gaining on Doosan and the wonderful guys with the Dinos. So just something to keep in mind there. They've been hot. And the MyBookie line for this one up to the moment, LG minus 136. This is one of the 2 10.5 over-unders. So this is a game that it looks as though at least Vegas is looking for quite a few runs. So is this KT LG game a stack game for you, Andrew?
Yeah, I like the bats on both sides here. So starting with the KT, the visiting team, they're facing this lefty, Woo-Chan Cha, who's good with strikeouts, but he's given up 6 home runs. And I watched his outing against Doosan recently. He was really weak. His fastball was just 89, a very basic slider. And he just looked kind of lost out there. And KT hit him around pretty good when they faced off earlier. And so I pulled some of the splits here for the KT bats against lefties. Jay Bay, the cheap outfielder at the top of the order, 2,700. He hits 459 against lefties this year. Our man Mel Rojas hits 447 with 6 homers. K Park, 310 with a homer. Our catcher S Jang we use occasionally. He's over 300 against lefties. So I like 1 or 2 bats on that side. And the LG matchup I like as well. So the KT pitcher, lefties hit 370 against him this year. That's Jeseong Bae. He's given up 6 homers. Yeah. And we talk all the time about the lefties for LG at the top, 1 through 4 when they get to face a righty. Yeah. So all those guys are in play for me. C. Lee, Ji Hwan Oh, H. Kim, Ramos. Ramos, of course, is the other slugger here that's in a big slump. He's 2 for his last 15 with 5 strikeouts.
18 games since a strikeout. Since a home run.
Yeah. It's been too long.
18 minutes since a strikeout.
Exactly. And then KU, the catcher there, he went 2 for 4 last night. I like his price. And then we got to mention,
gone up a little bit though. I noticed that because he's been a go-to when you avoid Park and Yang, the 2 expensive guys. Usually you could filter down and get some cheap guys like him, but his price is starting to creep up there. So something to be a little wary of, I think.
Yeah, really, he's basically a discount just compared to those 2 guys, and that's it.
Right.
So, and then Yi Che is back in the lineup at 3,100. He was out with an ankle injury. He was back and went 0 for 4 last night. Just want to mention that he's in the lineup, but I don't plan to play him. I'm going to focus on those lefties.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like either pitcher here, as well. I think, 4 and a 5 ERA respectively. These guys just have a little bit of trouble keeping the ball in the park. And I think there's some great plays on both sides. I think Bay is a terrific value play today. I mean, I like that guy. He can hit, and he can really hit lefties. I mean, it's a fairly small sample size, but a sample size enough that this guy can definitely get on base and do some damage against average lefties. And I think Choff from LG is very average. So I'd like him a lot. I think he's a good play. Rojas, of course, if you can fit him into your build money-wise, I think he's one of the better pay-up guys, no question about it. And, maybe you, the DH, you can even take a quick gander at K Park as well. So really up and down that top 6 for me, there are probably 2 that I'm going to pluck out of there and put them in my lineup for sure. On the LG side, I'm just not jumping on the Ramos deal. 18 games in a row, 38, I believe, at bats with no homers. And, you really expect that from him. Now, it'd be nice to be on him when he does have that 2 or 3 dinger game, but I just don't see, his price is crept up enough that it's just not conducive for me to put him in there when there's some other good first baseman, I think, that we can utilize. Now, the top 3 guys I think you got to take a look at with Lee, O, and H. Kim. They're all lefties. They all, do some damage. LG has scored some more runs, especially at the top of that lineup. And one other thing to mention about LG, I never roster anybody that bats 7th, 8th, or 9th. That's just my theory, unless it's an emergency guy I have to put in there. But I will say this, with Che coming back and some of the maneuvering they've done with their lineup, they've got 2 guys at the bottom, Jung and Jang, that have both hit further up in the order this year. So, I think LG is going to be tougher lineup for people to face. And I just wanted to bring that up because, you hit up and down the lineup, those guys you're playing in the 1, 2, and 3 hole, you're going to get 5, maybe even 6 at bats if they score a bunch of runs. So just another little plus to keep in mind on that side. So from this game, I'm with you. No pitching, 1 or 2 guys from each side, very rosterable. I think probably 3 players from this game will make my DK lineup, and 1 or 2 in FanDuel as well. All right, excellent. We go to, yes, Game 3, Lotte Giants, NC Dinos. Lotte's 23 and 23. The NC Dinos are 32 and 15. And this was the other one, buddy. I've already told you it's bigger than the 344. How big of a favorite are the Dinos today?
How about 360?
How about 416?
Wow.
You got to have some courage to be plugging that kind of money. 416. Crazy favorite. So, does that mean the Dinos pitcher is a must play? That's what I'm interested to hear your take on that. But the over-under in this game is 9.5. To show you how much of a favorite the Dinos are, even on the run line, they're minus 185. So you don't really even get a break there. So very interesting game here. I guess the question is, I believe Vegas sees this relief pitcher, Wansum Jung, that's got a cool 15 ERA and probably thinks the Dinos are going to score 1 million runs here. So my question is Koo in your lineup with his 6-0, 1.37? And are you stacking the Dinos? Because those are going to be the 2 chalkiest of chalks. You're going to have almost every lineup you see. Koo, like 75% owned, and at least 3-4 Dinos in everybody's lineup.
So yes to Koo.
Okay.
I'm going to have him in the majority of my lineups. I am a little surprised he's 11,000 on DraftKings. That's the most expensive pitcher I've seen.
It is.
So that's going to make it tough. I'm not going to use a full stack of the Dinos in my main lineup. I'll probably have I'll probably have at least two of them in every lineup. But my core build's not going to be 4 or 5. I think maybe that'll be the way I differentiate, where I kind of spread out my salary here to some of these other bats, because we've already talked about multiple lineups in good spots. So I don't think you need to center it all in the dinos. They could certainly hit 3 or 4 home runs against this guy. So in terms of which bats I like the most, Sungbum Na is 365 this year with 4 homers against lefties. Mm-hmm. He actually has a better batting average against lefties than righties. So he's in the pool. I'm not going to shy away from him just because it's a lefty.
Right.
Aaron Altair, as we've talked about, he destroys lefties. He's hitting 412 with 7 homers this year against lefties. And he's been up in the order. We added him to the player pool late last night because we saw the order come out. Yeah. We added him and Suckman Park, and they both hit homers. So yeah. I like Altair again. And then, because the people are going to be all over the dinos, here's a value play that maybe will allow us to be a little bit different. It's the catcher, because Yang had to leave early yesterday. Right. He may not play. And his replacement, Tae-Goon Kim, is not too bad. Check out these numbers. Against lefties this year, he's 5 for 11. That's a 455 batting average. And overall for the season, he only has 1 home run, but he has a .510 slugging percentage because he's hit 6 doubles. So at 2,100,
nice call
on DraftKings and $5 on FanDuel, I'm going to have some exposure to him.
That's a great call, man. And a lot of people aren't going to roster him in there or count him in because they don't know Yang got hurt. Right now they still have Yang in all the lineups projected, but I would be shocked, to be honest with you, if he plays. They're a huge favorite in this game against a terrible pitcher with their ace on the mound, and he's a catcher. Why push it? I mean, he's a superstar, exactly. One of the highest paid guys in the league. I'm very interested to see how this lineup moves around. Now, I know Sungbum Na has batted cleanup sometimes when Yang is out. So there's just a lot of different ways you want to look at this. For me, I am going to play a couple dinos, but I'm not going to stack the crazy man 4-man 5-man stack because I think it's going to be too chalky, and they can hit up and down the lineup. That's the strength of the dinos. So when you've got guys like Altair, No, and Kang, and even M. Lee, 9th, I mean, those guys are they would be in the top 6 batters for a team like Hanwha. I mean, that's how good the depth is in that Dinos lineup. So, that's all well and good. There can be some extra bats, a lot of runs, but I think it gets spread out a lot more. And, I love the Quan play. Right now, he's scheduled to bat 2nd. And if you want to have a 2 or 3 man little stack there, it's very easy to do when you put Quan in there at 2,400 on FanDuel and $7 on $7 on FanDuel, 2,400 on DraftKings. That's stealing. So a guy in the top, of that order, it allows you the ability to possibly put a Sungbum Na in there, or even Suckman Park or Altair. If Altair moves up another spot and bats 5th tonight, which is possible, and could grab an extra at bat, I think he's well worth the play. Also, I mean, he's tough. His stats, we talked about it when we did our review of the stats on the off day of KBO, and we were really surprised at how good across the board he was. He has steals, runs scored, a great batting average, good slugging. So, you got to consider that. I am going to play Koo, chalk or not. I'm going to make it work. I'm playing Koo. I'm playing M. I think both of those guys have the potential to get 30 fantasy points for you. And I want to stack that pitching and not play catch up with my other guys. So those are my 2 key guys. and finding, the 2,400 Quans and guys like that, and the $7 on FanDuel, you can make it work.
Yeah, and I like Quan in general here with that value now that he's been batting second. We've used him recently. I did note, though, that he's only 3 for 27 against lefties this year. But, this lefty might not be in the game for too long. But I'm a little bit cautious with Quan tonight because of that.
That's a great point. And, I think this guy's going to last about 2 innings.
Yeah.
And, we've been trying to factor that in because I get what you're saying. And a lot of people, especially if it's lefty versus lefty, in this one it's lefty righty, so it's not as obvious. It's a great point that you brought up. But in other scenarios, and look how it's paid off. Last night was another example of that. We said this guy may pitch 3 innings, and then it's going to be the reverse splits back again. So, don't always let, the guy that's starting off just deter you from playing him. So I just think at 2,400, it's hard for me to pass up, but I do really think that's a great point. All right, game 4, Doosan Bears 28-20, the Kiwoom Heroes 31-18. We've got mybookie.ag. You've got Kiwoom minus 169. As we say, Doosan's been an underdog multiple games lately. And that is the other game that is 10.5. So they're looking for a lot of runs here. And Kiwoom is a fairly comfortable favorite. So you're the Doosan Bears whisperer. So what's the word here?
Well, you mentioned the high total. In general, I like both of these lineups a lot, but I'm going to be shying away from this game mostly just because I like the other matchups better. Both of the pitchers in this game have only given up 2 home runs all season.
I know.
In 48 and 51 innings, respectively. So, it's just not on paper set up to be as explosive in terms of the long ball that I really expect we're going to get more from those first 3 games. And I'll mention on the Doosan matchup, this righty for Kiwoom, he's been really solid in 3 of his last 4 starts. 2 of those are against LG, and obviously they're very heavy lefty bats. And if he can give 2 really solid outings against those guys, he should at least be able to limit Doosan and keep them in the park mostly.
Okay.
Because lefties are hitting 309 against him this year, but only 1 home run. So, right. I mean, I could see Doosan scoring 5 or 6 here, but, if it's mostly singles and doubles and walks, we may not get the return on the investment that we would want. So, with that being said, Jay Elo is still an excellent price at $3,900 at first base. Jay Cha, our man, is up to $3,100, but still a great price. So if you're playing multiple lineups, I think you need to get some exposure there. And then for the other matchup, same thing. You think, well, let's get some of these Kiwoom bats because the Doosan pitcher has an ERA over 6, a WHIP of almost 2.
Yeah.
But he's only given up 2 home runs. So I'm just not going to spend much on this game.
All right. Well, we differ here, which is good. It gives 2 approaches to our listeners. Doosan is my favorite stack tonight, and I'll explain why. I have been following this trend, and I mentioned it on probably the last 4 podcasts, but there is a distinct difference in Doosan's production on the road as opposed to at home. I don't know if it's the ballpark or if it's a combination of things, but they are scoring a lot more runs on the road than they are at home. I know that Hyun Hee Han from Kiwoom has not been has not given up a ton of home runs, but he does get hit hard. They do barrel him. So I just love some of the value in this lineup, and it allows me to also pay up here as well. So as of right now, my favorites on the Doosan side, are you ready for this one, man? You're going to be shocked at this one. I like S. Park, the catcher, all the way down there in like the 7 hole. I think his value is so good. He's a lefty, just fits in with my Doosan stack and makes the money work. I really like him. Fernandez is going to be in my lineups. The leadoff hitter, I think is a great price. And then I like two other guys, Kim and Park, two of the outfielders. So I'm staring right now at a 5-man stack and looking Doosan to just rip the ball 10, 15 runs. And I feel pretty good about it.
Okay. I like that, the whole talk there, the idea of Doosan ripping 10 to 15 runs off. I mean, that warms my heart when it happens. So
it does. And, it's 10.5 over under makes me feel a little better. I mean, before I had seen that final line, I had already decided I was going with that stack. And this just seems like the right fit for one of those games. And they put a lot of double-digit road games on the board. So very excited about that. Excited they get all 9 innings and don't lose out on the bottom of the 9th on the road. And I think that I'll be a little contrarian with the Doosan stack instead of the Dino stack.
Yep.
And that'll help me, staying away from the chalk of rostering Koo and Im. So there you go, man. A couple of different ways to attack it. All right, game 5, buddy. Last one. By the way, all the games tonight are 5:30 a.m. Eastern, 4:30 a.m. Central. And Andrew and I and Shane will more than likely all be in there a good 30, 40 minutes before lock. All right, SK Wyverns, 14-34 against the Samsung Lions, 25-24. And our friends at mybookie.ag have the Samsung Lions as a 142 favorite. And that is the solo lowest total on the board of 8.5. And as I see it, it's the lowest total on the board, not because of great pitching, but because of anemic hitting. But I will tell you this much. Did you look at how many home runs David Buchanan has given up?
Of course.
It is a big, fat number. So Does that affect who you're rostering in this game?
Not quite enough.
Okay.
Again, because I like those earlier matchups for the hitters more, I don't expect to get much exposure to this game with the hitters. These two pitchers faced off recently, and it was a pitcher's duel. Buchanan, six innings, no earned runs. Jong Chud did not play that day, so he had an easier matchup against SK, so I'm not as excited about him tonight. And yes, he's given up 8 home runs, right? So I'm just going to stay away from that matchup mostly. But I do have some interest in the SK pitcher.
Okay.
Because, if you look at his strikeouts, 52 strikeouts in 53 innings. He's only given up 4 homers. Yeah. He's had 5 straight quality starts against the Dinos, Samsung, this team that we just talked about, and then Kia, Kiwoom, and Doosan. So he's going through all the heavyweights, and he's holding his own. And lefties are only hitting 245 against him. And we've started to use these lefty bats from Samsung more recently. Koo has been good for us. Hyman Park has been good for us, cheap outfielder. And a new guy on the scene here, Song Gon Lee, outfielder for 2,800, I really like. But not tonight because of those numbers I just mentioned. So I'm going to have some exposure to the SK pitcher, Sungwon Moon, and I'm just not really going to mess with the bats in this game.
Interesting. Now, I really like the trend for Moon. I totally circled that on my list as well. The only thing that bothered me, though, is it's not a value play. He's only $300 cheaper than Im on DraftKings, which seems ludicrous to me. I mean, if you take a shot with an SK pitcher, even though he's going pretty well, you expect to get some value there, and it's just not enough. And even on FanDuel is the same scenario. You can take the Dinos pitcher and just be a couple bucks over. You can take the Kia pitcher and be way under. He's $24, and Moon is $27. So I get it. I think it's a good pivot. It's, it could give you a different guy, in your lineup. But I don't like the fact that it's not a value for a team that's 20 games under 500 going against a Samsung team that's not too bad hitting the ball. I think that game Buchanan had against SK was just one of those horrible SK games, which they put a lot of them out there. But he's just not been good this year. I would not recommend plugging him in at all. In fact, I do have one guy that I like from this game, and it's Jamie Romack. I like his potential. I think he can take this guy deep, right in the middle of that order. I think they're going to score runs tonight. And I think he's a great, still reasonably priced cleanup hitter in a game where I think that they should hit Buchanan fairly well. But, I'm with you on liking Moon. I just don't like the price on either site. And other than that, it's hard to want to stack SK. So I'm just, Jay Chuz worth looking at, but Jamie Romack's sort of the direction I'm going because I have that first base spot open. And obviously with us both liking Moon, it's sort of senseless to throw anybody in from Samsung. So any other thoughts on that game?
Yeah, just on the pricing, I agree with you. I think Moon is overpriced on FanDuel, so I wouldn't play him there. I like him a lot better on DraftKings, and yes, I'd like his price to be lower, but maybe it's an accurate reflection of how good he is and how good he's going to be tonight. So, but yeah, for me, he's a much better price on DraftKings.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, that's the 5 games, man. I think we've got some similar takes on a lot of these guys. Certainly the pitcher from Kia. We have a few different takes. I'm stacking your favorite team, the Doosan Bears, and you're somewhat just maybe one-offing that group there. Key to your lineup tonight that you want to share with the listeners? What do you think that the real key that you're sticking with through thick and thin as we look at this before lock?
I mean, it's finding the right mix of sluggers and finding the right mix of, will these value plays that I'm targeting pay off? If the catcher for the Dinos, Tae-Goon Kim, plays at 2,100, can he get me an RBI double and a walk or something to give me 10 fantasy points or so that I can pay up for Koo as the $11,000 pitcher and then afford these big bats in the outfield?
Interesting. Yeah. Good stuff. I like this card tonight. We shouldn't have any weather issues, knock on wood, and everything looks pretty darn good. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the like button. Please subscribe. That's key. And click the alarm bell. That's the most important thing. With the different times and different aspects of waiting for weather and watching different things, the time of the podcast being released varies a little bit. So rather than having to check or forgetting or, continuing to click and try to find it, just click that alarm bell and it'll let you know. It'll give you that notification as soon as our pod goes up every day. So follow us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. If you want to DM any of us directly, I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. He is at Language Olympic, and our man Shane is at DET Sports Shane. So definitely get in touch with us there. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at DFS_Coach Talk. And don't forget, jump on our website and sign up for mybookie.ag and get that wonderful promotion that they're putting forward. And also TVG. You can definitely sign up through our website and get that exclusive $300 offer as well. Also, MambaOn3.org is our charity of choice. That's MambaOnThree.org. We mention them every day. Just a fantastic charity set up there by Vanessa Bryant. So that is pretty much everything, I believe. We're fired up for tonight. We were just chomping at the bit last night. We loved our lineups. Andrew was jumping out of his skin to get that one going, and then we had the rain issues. So tonight we're sort of, really geared up and ready to go. And then tomorrow, Wednesday is our doubleheader day. Andrew gets the doubleheader for sure. So it's Andrew doing KBO with me, or PGA with me, and then Sugar Shane Caldwell jumps in with him to do KBO. Did I say that right? PGA, KBO? Okay,
you did,
good.
yeah. And, speaking of every day, we're accepting members every day of the week. And you can still get in tonight as a member and get our FanDuel lineup and then get our player pool on DraftKings. So go to our website. If you pick up a monthly membership, that's actually going to get you all the way until August 30th. So ton of value. You can get the website you can get the membership at dfscoachtalk.com.
Yeah, and take advantage of this, one-time situation. We've been trying to ride out this craziness with everybody, and we've frozen everybody's memberships until, as Andrew said, till July 30th. And so, if you jump in here, you get this extra KBO and PGA action prior to baseball and basketball kicking off. So, we really appreciate everybody listening. Even through all of this pandemic and social unrest and everything that's happened in the world here, our listenership has continued to grow. People are tuning in, and I think people appreciate the fact that we're putting this all in front of the paywall during this time, trying to keep a distraction up for everybody, and we're just excited when everything gets going again, just to get back to normal. So we're excited about that, and we appreciate every like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. All of that makes a difference for us. It helps us show up in searches sooner, and it's all good stuff. We want to continue to grow with you, and we'll always do our podcast 7 days a week in front of the paywall, even when the main sports are back. Real differentiator for us, and we'll always be in Discord at least 30 minutes before lock for every lineup and every sport, to make sure you have a full FanDuel lineup with some pivots, and you have a full player pool on DraftKings. So anything else, Mr. Andrew?
That's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening in.
Really appreciate it. We thank you all for tuning in today. We look to crush it tomorrow when we have the doubleheader, both PGA, which I'm fired up for, and KBO, which will certainly, hopefully, follow this big win tonight with another one tomorrow. So thank you all for joining us. We'll look to crush it on DFS Coach Talk again tomorrow, and we're going to crush it in KBO and PGA tomorrow. So have a good one.